On this edition of In Focus, we return to Avenue Q for a cast reunion of the original acclaimed production at the Vintage Theater, now playing at the Ignite Theater. Well, thanks for reassembling not just the second time because we were with you 2 years ago, but the second time for this run, and I so appreciate you giving us another chance to come and visit you. What is it like for you all to reassemble after such a long break to do this show all over again, this revival of Avenue Q at Ignite Theater?
It feels like we never left each other.
Oh.
No, it was weird how quickly it all just melded back together.
Oh yeah.
Just it was just like
Yeah.
it was like we'd taken a 2-week break, not a 2-year break.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and with us sharing a same puppet, it was as soon as we got that puppet and started working together, everything's just started clicking again. It was pretty amazing.
It was like we had just done it.
Yeah.
Is that sense memory, muscle memory kind of thing that we hear actors talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
It's not my mental memory for sure.
Are there any real changes aside from the fact that you're not environmental as much as you are almost a thrust presentation now? I mean, how does that impact the way you work in this revival?
We just had to be more cognizant of sight lines and things like that in this space, I think. Also, there's no pole in the center of the stage for Lucy, so we had to add one.
Yeah, I feel like it's the same amount of challenge working in this space as it was working in the old Vintage Theater space with the way that stage was oriented.
Sort of trapezoidal
Yeah.
environmental theater kind of thing.
So it's exactly, I feel like, the same amount of challenge in just a different kind of configuration.
Is there any more removal from the audience as you're working because you can't see them as well as you could at the Vintage?
We can actually see them really well.
Oh, you
Well, see, I can't. Like unless I get within about a foot. Like I can see the front row, and other than that, I can't see. And I love that. I love not being able to see the audience.
I have a little bit of interaction with the audience, and it is a little bit harder.
Sometimes on purpose.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes not. No. But it is a little bit more of a challenge to try to get to more people, but
And purses.
and purses. Yes.
Shoes.
Last night was true.
Yeah,
Saw
woman had her
someone's
shoes
shoe
off
last
during the
night.
show, and I went for them.
So clearly it didn't take much for you all to coalesce again as a company. What else has changed for you in terms of bringing the character back to life all over again? Is the choreography different, or is it just blocking that's different?
I think there's slight changes in the choreography just to fit the space and a few things that our choreographer now has had this show for 2 years. So there's a few changes and she's choreographed it again since then. So there's a few changes she's made, but nothing huge. We all were stepping right back into blocking that we remembered. I mean, and same with choreography. It just kind of really still tried to keep with the same feel of the first show.
In terms of stepping into the character, something you said at the talkback really resonated with me. We've done 2 more years of living, and so once the choreography and those technical pieces fell into place quickly, we were able to dive into the characters, I think, more deeply, and things were coming out for me that weren't coming out 2 years ago. You know?
Okay, now can you tell me one?
We can tell her.
Kate's got anger issues.
There's the truth to that. 2 years ago, I was finishing up my grad school program and, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to take on the teaching, academia, and I was very hopeful, and I'm going to change the world, and then I started teaching, and it's and it's wonderful. It's wonderful, but it's very challenging.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was connecting so much more with my character and Princeton's character. It meant so much more to me after having been through something similar.
Yeah.
That 2 years of living will do that, won't it?
A short amount of time, but a lot can happen.
Now, I know that you're selling out frequently. Most of these performances are selling out already. So I'm wondering what it is you think that continues to resonate in our community, because it has been 2 years since you've done it, and we're all really excited that you're back together again. So what do you think is the purpose of this production of Avenue Q?
Just to bring back how amazing it makes people feel when they leave the theater. I mean, they come in, and whether they are either really offended or really happy, you know,
Or both.
Exactly.
Happy to be offended.
It sticks with them, and you know, it's a lot of comedy in this show, but there's also there's moments where you're like, oh my god, that was so sweet and adorable, and it just sticks with you. And wow, they're talking about porn here, but then there's like this really heartfelt moment right afterwards.
That's mostly you that gets to do that.
I am totally okay. I don't need any of the sweet, cute. Just want to be filthy, and I'm fine and happy. Yeah.
But you do end up having a very
He
sweet
does have
moment
he
in the
does
show.
have a very sweet moment, and yeah.
Is that harder for you to play than the other part?
No, not really.
Not
No.
really.
I think he's an easy character. He's so much fun to play, and I think one of the things too that really helps with this production is it's very obvious that we all really love each other. We all really love the characters that we're playing, and everyone plays really well off of each other. And I think that really comes through for an audience. And when it's obvious that the actors are having a great time, it's hard for an audience not to have a great time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you have only one new family member in this revival, and sadly,
Are you
is he here? Oh, he's here! Come on in!
Yes.
Come on in!
He has the longest commute.
I have a really
Yeah.
good commute.
And I live in
25
Everett,
doesn't let me get here on time.
Yeah.
Well, that's just the fact of life in Colorado, right? We have
Yep.
two seasons, winter and construction. So, well, welcome to the family.
Thank you.
How was it for you to all reassemble and then find that you were going to have one new member of the family? Was it hard to help him join the group?
No, he like slid right in, like
Yeah.
he belonged there from the beginning. I mean, we loved Michael, we miss him, but Stefan just came right in and was like, okay, here I am. And we're like, oh! And it was just like.
You were off book day one, weren't you?
Yeah.
it was off
I was,
book
I, was
day
a
one.
little, I was a little nervous because I was like, everyone else here has already done the show before. They all know their lines. Or they might, it's been 2 years, but most of them are at least pretty familiar. So I was making sure I was very careful to come super prepared. The moment I found out, I had sent a message to our stage manager and everyone saying, can I have script? Can I have score? I want to be memorized now, yesterday.
Yeah.
So, and they were all incredibly nice about helping me find things around and just pushing me around because we ran through blocking so fast. It's kind of a review for everyone, but just a crash course for me.
They were just dragging you around the
Yeah.
set.
Arlene's done that a couple times.
She's helpful that way. What was it like on the first day of rehearsal after you've put in that much pressure on yourself to be off book before you showed up? What was it like when you finally assembled with the rest of the company?
It was so much fun, just because I wanted to see the show last time. I actually didn't get a chance to come see the show, especially because I was doing something else up north. But the first thing I remember, the first rehearsal I was able to go to, they were doing Loud as the Hell You Want, so there's some puppet sex in that, and that just had me sold from the beginning. I was just sitting there laughing. I didn't know what else to do.
Your first day was
First
the
day
puppet
was
sex.
the puppet sex.
Get right into it.
That was probably a really good way to initiate him.
We're so good at it.
Now that you're up and playing and it's selling out every performance, how does that feel to become part of this legend in
Oh, it feels
Denver?
so good. It's so great. I mean, the faces on the audience are what really makes it so great. Like, the shocked faces are just as great as the ones that are laughing, that are just really sad. The awe moments, I live for those ones too, where everyone's just, oh no, these people are just connecting so much to these puppets. It's just so great.
And you don't expect to.
No, not necessarily. No, you come in thinking, oh, it's just like Sesame Street. How much are you going to connect to Elmo besides, just going, oh yeah, he's cute. But this, you actually do really connect with all of the characters. I find myself backstage sometimes just watching scenes that I'm not in, just watching because I love them so much.
I connect with Elmo, I'd like to say.
I think that's the novelty of the show. People, it's unexpected, to have that emotional connection.
They're real characters.
We're going
They
to a
are.
puppet
Yeah.
show.
The people,
I'm crying.
the Gary Coleman,
We
the
all
Christmas
have faults,
Eve,
the characters. So everybody sitting in the audience sees it and goes, "Oh my God, I've been there and know that part," or "Oh, that's really funny. I've seen that happen," and they can relate instead of it just being all sunshine and roses. It's A little grit.
My favorites though are the church ladies that come in and they just say they just heard it was a show with puppets and they come in and they'll either start buying into it or their lips get more and more pinched as the evening goes on.
They really
Do they
like
stay
the
after
sizzle
intermission? Do they stay after intermission?
Most of them.
I
We've
don't feel
we've
like
had
we
a couple
lose very
walk-
many people.
Yeah, we've had
Yeah.
a couple walkouts, but
Most people, especially with the amount of attention you received the first time around, we kind of have some idea of what to expect when we come to see you. Or at least we hope that they do.
Exactly.
I
A
try
fun
to-
night.
They find out pretty quickly.
I try to warn
Yeah.
people that I invite. I just make sure that they're okay with the material before they come, because otherwise that's kind of awkward at work the next day.
or at church. The first time and the last time we met you was almost a year ago, and you looked very different than you do now. You probably looked more like you really do. So now you kind of are almost in character all the time.
A little bit, yeah. I'm a little bit of a chameleon. I'm a professional piercer, so I've got tattoos, piercings all over the place. And last year when we met doing Bloody Andrew Jackson, I had
In this space?
In this space too. I had long hair with black and bright
Burgundy,
red in
yeah.
it. Yeah. So and we were all dressed like emo rock stars. So that was crazy because I never actually get to do something like that before. It's the first show I've ever actually had to wear any of my piercings in. And I asked Ben Dickey at the time. He's like, "No, keep them all in."
Keep them all in. But you don't get to wear them here.
No, I don't.
No.
I have special little hider plugs and everything that make it look like skin, but it's fun. I mean, it's something that everyone does, but it's a lot more noticeable with me. We're all chameleons. We all play different parts, but it may not be as noticeable for other people who are just shifting a little bit here, changing their hair. But when I have to take out all my piercings and everything, I actually that's one of the things I love is coming out after the show and having everything back in, and the audience members just go, "He didn't have any of those piercings."
That's not Rod.
That's not Rod.
When did he do those? Just now?
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that you were able to reassemble this way, because I had as much fun the second time around as I did the first time around. Not only because your work is brilliant, but because you brought the same amount of heart that you did the first time. And I'm so glad that we had a chance to visit with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This revival of Avenue Q plays at Ignite Theater through November 3rd. Visit their webpage for ticket information. And now a special note about In Focus. Join us as we return to Colorado Public Television in prime time, Friday nights at 7 p.m., returning November 1st.